All right, welcome back to another episode of Broken Cards in History. And today we're going to be talking about Dimension Fusion.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. So, as we mentioned in our Magician of Faith video, we've been playing a lot of Goat Control, and that format actually had a lot of decks that are better than Goat Control. And one of them is Dimension Fusion. Just the card wasn't at one per deck, so that's already ridiculous, is that it was unlimited. And I just think the card should never been created. It's still banned. It's been banned since 2008. So what it does, for people who don't know, because a lot of you are probably so young that you've never even played with Dimension Fusion, but
that's something that's interesting, actually, because I was thinking there's some, because everybody that remembers the card knows that it's broken, right? There's probably a lot of people that, because the card's been banned for so long,
13 years,
they never even looked at it. Like, the card doesn't exist. They got a Yu-Gi-Oh! That card doesn't exist. So they never even saw this stupid ass card.
The card is crazy. So it's pay 2,000 life points. Both players special summon as many of their banished monsters as possible. So
that's it.
Let's start with the immediate issue here. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that are really powerful now all say things like once per turn, you can only use this effect once. If you know, it'll say something to kind of limit how often you can use the effect in a single turn. But this is like 04 Yu-Gi-Oh! This is 04 and 05. So back then, there was none of this once per turn stuff that you see printed on every single ridiculous card, outside of like maybe Engage. But for the most part, every card now that's printed has some kind of once per turn clause, and this card just didn't have one. I mean, it just, you can pay 2,000 life points as many times as you want in a single turn, and because you had 3 copies of it in the deck, it can get really out of hand. So the main deck that played this was a Reasoning Monster Gate deck, and it used Dark Magician of Chaos, who's also just absolutely absurd. Like, I mean, literally all of the Reasoning Monster Gate decks, once you hit your DMOC, it's just over. You start looping, you start looping Dimension Fusions, looping Metamorphosis, you start getting like Monster Gate combos. And the weird thing is they try to give Dimension Fusion like a drawback, right? It says like your opponent can also summon monsters back, but that's a fucking farce. That is the biggest farce ever, because a lot of the time what ends up happening, you bring out DMOC and a bunch of other monsters, and then you look through your graveyard, which is probably full of spells because Reasoning and Monster Gate just mill past them. So you kind of like tutor your graveyard for any spell. A lot of times that shit ends up being Lightning Vortex or Brain Control or Snatch Steal or any of those types of cards that just doesn't matter what your opponent summoned, you're either taking it or destroying it anyway. And then you bring out Jinzo and Sacred Cranes, Blowback Dragons, Chaos Sorcerers that was summoned correctly, Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning that was summoned correctly, and you kill them. And it's just one turn. A lot of the games with Dimension Fusion decks just end in one turn.
What's fucked up is you could summon Blackluster Soldier, banish a monster, and then, I don't fucking know, tribute Blackluster Soldier for Jinzo.
Yep, and then summon Chaos Sorcerer by banishing BLS. And then like, Dimension Fusion all of that shit back.
Yeah, like,
and this, like, you're literally saying combos that I've done in the last week.
Like,
with the deck. Like that, I've literally done that. I've also done really rude shit where I go summon DMOC off of, you know, Monster Gate, because I already taught my group that you always call 8 with Reasoning against that deck. Like, you have to. If DMOC comes out, the game is over. You cannot call anything but 8. I know there's like this temptation I want to call 4 because I don't want you to Sacred Crane, and there's more 4s in the deck than 8. Nope. I don't care.
Sacred Crane doesn't win the game.
You have to call 8. You have to call 8 every time, because if DMOC happens, Dimension Fusion loops are possible now, and it's too much. So anyway, a lot of times you'll go like summon DMOC, then summon Chaos Sorcerer or Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, and then you'll get back a spell with DMOC and you'll banish it with the effect of like Chaos Sorcerer or Blackluster Soldier, and then Dimension Fusion and bring back whatever the materials you removed for the Chaos Monster and DMOC. Then DMOC can get back either Dimension Fusion again or any other spell. It's just a bunch of nonsense. It's just a crazy combo card, and it doesn't really stop. And the scary thing about it, in GOAT format, a lot of the traps are not really good to chain. Like, there's not really good chainable traps back then. So the deck plays like 3 Giant Trunades, Heavy Storm, MST, all this back row removal. So a lot of times you're just like, pick up all your back row, they solemn it makes them easier to kill. There's also Jinzo in the deck.
There's not really anything you can do, because it's Ring of Destruction, Call the Haunted, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute.
Sakaretsu Armors.
Like, you Giant Trunade that, and it's like, okay. So
yeah, it's like that doesn't. And if people saw them to protect like one back row, you're probably still going to die because killing you at 4,000 is so much easier with this deck than it is killing you at 8,000.
Yeah, what do you want? Sakaretsu fucking one monster? Like
yeah. So the other scary thing is I actually played Dimension Fusion for a while in my real life career of Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2008, I want to say I played Diamond D Turbo before Dad returned. Well, before I could afford that return because I was a broke kid. So that Dark Arms were like $400 almost. So I couldn't afford Dark Arms, but I did have all the cards for a Diamond D Turbo deck, and I actually topped the regional in Philly with Diamond D Turbo before I got into Teledad, I want to say, and the deck just.
That was like one of the last formats this card was legal, right?
Yes, because it got banned in 08, and Teledad is 08 as well. Teledad is like the end of 08, I think. So
yeah, and this card never came back.
Yeah, this card's been banned for 13 years, which speaks volumes to how powerful it is. I mean, it cannot come back to current Yu-Gi-Oh! It is so. If you just want to go through some of the formats, Dragon Rulers in 2013. If you just think about Dimension Fusion with fucking Dragon Rulers, like you're just like summon Dragon, banish 2, summon Dragon, banish 2, overlay for Xyz monster, then Dimension Fusion back to 4 monsters that you banish. And the thing about Dragon Rulers, they activate in the graveyard, so if you start overlaying the new 4 ones that got banished, then they go back to the graveyard, so their effects can be used again on the following turn as a resource. There's just no end to it. It's like one of the most outrageous cards. It's also a fucking spell. For whatever reason,
it being a spell is dirty.
It really is, because we know there's return from different dimensions.
Yeah, I was about to say return, and that doesn't even help your opponent bring back monsters. No, but it's a trap. It's a trap. No matter what you do, unless Makiora the Destructor comes back,
right?
You can't loop that card.
Yes, this card is a spell. Demont gets it back. So all in one turn, you can just kill someone. And I don't know, it's really, really bad. But that's just like one example. Dragon Rulers 2013, just imagine it with Dimension Fusion being in a deck like that. It's a cracked out version of Soul Charge. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this, but obviously they didn't expect Yu-Gi-Oh! To scale.
That was back. I guess that was back when they were thinking, like back then, the remove from play, it wasn't even called banish, right? It was the
remove from play
zone.
Yeah.
They thought remove from play meant it wasn't in the game anymore. Like when they made this card, they were being tricky. They were like, oh, remove from play means it's completely out of the game. Yep. We're gonna do some cool stuff.
Little did they know that would become a second graveyard.
Oh man.
And for some decks, it's literally the graveyard, like Orcus and stuff like that. Like banishing things is so powerful that it doesn't even make it. It's not even a bad thing anymore. It's not even a bad thing. Having certain things banished, like, okay, that's fine. Like, I actually want that banished. And it's just kind of...
I remember when, like, Macrocosmos decks were, like, anti-meta decks.
Yes. And yeah, because they were, that was the thing.
But remove from play is just standard now. Quick random piece of trivia we were talking about the other day, but the guy on the card art, I'm a nerd for shit like this. On the card art, it's DD Warrior Lady. The other guy is DD Warrior.
Yep.
When this card was made, that card wasn't out yet. The DD Warrior card, the guy with the red hair, that card wasn't even out when Dimension Fusion.
Yeah, there was a little debate between you and one of our friends about was he even legal at the time that Dimension Fusion. I don't know. Maybe not
out yet.
Maybe not in Go 4. Yeah, right. Like when this Dimension Fusion came out in 04, so it's super old. Like he wasn't even.
I think the pack he came out in Eternal Duelist Soul. Is that a game? I don't fucking know.
That sounds like a game to me.
That sounds like a game. Yeah.
Eternal,
I don't remember what pack he came in.
I think Invasion of Chaos.
LCYW. DD Warrior. LCYW. I don't fucking know. I don't know what pack he came out in, but I know he was after Dimension Fusion.
Yeah. But you see him on a card, which is kind of cool because I like when Yu-Gi-Oh cards do that thing where something may not actually have come out yet, but it's on a card and it's going to eventually have its own
I think that's
card.
Really cool. Like Nobleman of Crossout, is he a monster?
Who is Nobleman of Crossout?
That's the other day I was looking because
let us know if you guys know who Nobleman of Crossout is as an actual monster. Let us know who that is.
Because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, man, Nobleman's got to be a monster somewhere, right?
By now, right? Like who that?
Let us know who Nobleman of Crossout.
Let us know who that. If you know who Nobleman of Crossout is, let us know. Because
other than that, I think DD Warrior looked cool. I like the eyeballs, like in his knees and the shoulder. Like look at the eyeballs in his outfit. Like,
I didn't even notice that. You're getting all artsy on me now.
They look cool, man. I like the eye, like what's on both of his shoulders and on his kneecaps.
This card art is actually insane when you look at it.
It's a sick ass card art.
Yeah, the card art is actually really nice too. Like it's nice to look at.
Yeah, I really appreciate the card. That's something I like. Yu-Gi-Oh, and especially as the years went on, the card art got more and more in depth.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this card broken.
It predates the Synchro era, the Extra Deck era, so it only has gotten more powerful now. Like, obviously, pretty much everything has got more powerful now, and that's why we're doing these segments. But over time, it wouldn't even have taken long for this card to be out of hand. It would have gotten out of hand very quick. Like, you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is Dark Arm, so it would have been good immediately.
I mean, it was out of hand when it was out. So.
Yeah, like it would have been good it would have been good in Teledad, for example. And,
it was out of hand as soon as they got the idea for Chaos Monsters. This card with it was not okay.
Yeah, but all right, this is another segment of Broken Cards in History. Also, if you guys don't know, we did start a Patreon. So if you find us, IMNerd on Patreon, you can support the channel. And we want to shout out some of our patrons. So we have 2 people already in the highest tier, the main character tier, for $20. We have Connie and we have Austin. So shout out to you 2 for being the first 2 patrons to join and at the highest tier.
Our first 2 patrons, and they were like, "Fuck this shit, I want it all."
Yeah, they literally went to the highest tier.
I
was like, okay, there's only 5 spots for the highest tier right now because it's a pretty demanding spot. If you, one of the perks is that you can actually challenge any of us to a duel, which I do want to say is kind of funny because a lot of you know I don't play currently, but you get to choose the format for that tier. So if you want to be an asshole and challenge me to a 2021 format knowing I don't play, that's fine. I will play. I'll probably get creamed on stream or whatever. It's fine.
That's fine.
But if you want to challenge me to a format where you know I actually did play, which is anything probably 2018 and before, I pretty
challenge on the Gravekeeper format, but nobody's allowed to use Gravekeepers except him.
That would be funny to challenge. Maybe we can create something like that, I did do Duel of Master in 2011, and there were a lot of crazy ass rules that happened when you dueled against me. For example, one of them was with elemental heroes. Like, I got an elemental hero deck. With elemental heroes, I can just fuse without polymerization. So
contact fusion?
I can just fuse. No, like, they didn't even have to be on the field. I can just look at my hand and go, fuse these 2 monsters, make this guy. And also, when the fusion monster was summoned, I drew 2 cards.
That's how they should have just errated fusion to work like that. Well, not to draw 2 cards thing. That's wild.
Yeah, that was
that's fucking wild.
you caught that part? You caught that part, right?
The first part.
You caught that part? You caught that.
That needs to be different. I'm out of here.
We're done. All right, we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Later.